Hi everyone, this is Mr. Zoller, and today I'm going to be presenting you a video about Jamestown, the first permanent English colony. So here we have King James I of England. So King James I granted a charter, which is an official document, to the Virginia Company in 1606 to settle and civilize America. And he wanted to prevent the Spanish advancement in the New World and let the English get a claim on some colonies in North America, and also wanted to help try to find a quicker passage to Asia, to China somehow through this land. So what was the Virginia Company? It was what we call a joint stock company, which means that a group of wealthy investors are shareholders. So they invest money in the company and they're hoping to get money back out of it. And so their plan is to establish settlements in America and make a profit. So if they put, let's say if I put $1,000 into this company, I'm hoping to get my money back plus some extra. That's how I'll make my money off of it. So how could investors convince people to go? Well, they could seek economic opportunities, jobs. They could expect wealth from gold and minerals. That's what they're expecting to get when they come. And for the voyage to the New World, in December 1606, we're going to have 105 settlers and entrepreneurs set off for America. And so they're going to arrive in Virginia in April of 1607. So you can see it wasn't quite a short trip to get over there. And we're going to have Edward Wingfield elected president of the governing council, and he selects the island location. So here are the occupants of the original Jamestown settlers, so feel free to pause and take a look at that. So why Jamestown Island? Why was that selected? So here's the location of Jamestown. So first off, it was far enough inland so the Spanish wouldn't be able to see it right away. It's not like right on the coastline. It's further in on a river. Deep water anchor for the ship, so you can have large ships can get in close to the island. And the swamps in the area and the river offers protection from all the local Native Americans that are in that area. So let's take a look at the natives. So there are about 14,000 members of the Powhatan tribes that are living in this area of Virginia. And their Chief Powhatan's daughter, of course, is going to be the famous Pocahontas, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So there's going to be a potential source of conflict between the Native Americans and the English settlers. So for like the Native Americans, they bathe and shave their faces every day, like the English. They practice communal land ownership, so they don't really believe in owning land. They believe they share it along with the plants and the animals. And then they worship spirits in nature and not in any church of any kind. So lots of differences between the English and the Native Americans. So when the English began arriving in Jamestown, they built a fort to protect their settlement that is there. So here's another picture of that fort that was established. And so during the time of Jamestown, we're going to have a time period called the Starving Time. So many of the settlers were unaccustomed to doing types of work. Many of them were coming to find gold, and they brought equipment to help them get gold and mine the gold. But they don't know how to farm. They don't know how to grow any crops. They settled in a swamp, and so a lot of them don't know how to do the work that they need to do. So if you go back to the previous slide on the groups of people coming over, look at how many farmers are on there. They didn't plan for such harsh winters, so they had a pretty rough time when they arrived there. It's really cold, and they spent more time searching for gold and minerals than actually trying to establish food. They didn't bring a lot of supplies with them. So during the starving time, of course, we're going to have a lot of people starving. So disease is going to be the #1 factor. They live in a river. There's lots of mosquitoes, so malaria, dysentery, other diseases are going to spread to the settlers, and so a large number of them are going to die. And since they didn't plant a lot of crops, hunger is also going to be a part of that. So it's a very hard time for the settlers in Jamestown. And then they also are going to have attacks by local Native Americans. So when you think of the starving time, think of disease, hunger, and attacks. And that's going to make it a very difficult time for the English settlers there in Jamestown. So eventually we're going to have a man named John Smith who's going to come to the rescue, kind of like their superhero, I guess. So supposedly, and we'll talk about in class, he's saved by Pocahontas. He's going to take leadership of the colony. And he kind of sets up a rule of if you don't work, you don't eat. So he that will not work shall not eat. So if you're not going to help farm and help plant and grow crops, then you don't get to eat any of it. So eventually we're going to have more settlers arriving in Jamestown. So only about 60 colonists were left of the original group that came over. And 2 ships finally arrived from England with new resources and more settlers. So the very first cash crop is going to be planted by John Rolfe here. So that's going to be tobacco. I can see growing here on your screen. So John Rolfe in 1612 creates a smoother breed of tobacco that he's able to get his hands on, and he's going to be able to grow that in Jamestown and there in Virginia. And this is going to become very popular in England, and it's going to be worth a lot of money. So here's a picture showing some of the tobacco crops being grown. So tobacco becomes a cash crop that the colonists can sell, and John Rolfe eventually marries Pocahontas, which helps bring peace to the English and to the Native Americans.
But what Rolfe finds at the English settlement of Jamestown is hell on earth. More than 500 settlers made the journey before Rolfe.
Hello? Hello?
Barely 60 remain. It's called the starving time.
Having fed on horses and other animals, we ate boots, shoes, and any other leather we came across.
3 months before Rolfe arrives, a man is burned at the stake for killing his pregnant wife and planning to eat her. The English arrive unprepared for this new world and unwilling to perform manual labor. Instead of livestock, they brought chemical tests for gold that they never find. And this is not their land. They build Jamestown in the middle of a Native American empire. 60 starving settlers among 20,000 of the Powhatan Nation, armed with bows and arrows that are up to 9 times faster to reload and fire than an English musket. They're soon enemies. Only 1 in 10 of the original settlers is left. John Rolfe didn't come to plunder and leave like the others. He's got his own plan. There's money in tobacco, and England is addicted. He's arrived with a supply of South American tobacco seeds, but growing it is limited to the Spanish colonies. The Spanish control the worldwide trade. Selling tobacco seeds to foreigners is punishable by death. But John Rolfe has got his hands on some. No one knows how. And in the warm, humid climate and fertile soil around the Chesapeake Bay, Rolfe's tobacco crop flourishes. The first large harvest produced by these seeds is worth more than $1 million in today's money.
The great strength of America is our people. If you want to know what is the defining strength of America, it is our people, our immigrant tradition, our bringing in cultures from all over the world.
I know what goes into making success. And when somebody's really successful, it's rarely luck. It's talent, it's brain power, it's lots of other things.
Rolfe marries the daughter of the king of the Powhatan Empire. Her name becomes legend, Pocahontas. In England, Rolfe makes her a celebrity when her face is put on a portrait that sells all over London, advertising life in the New World. Shakespeare mentions the colony. England's rich invest money here. All of London knows about this land of plenty. Within 2 years, tobacco grows in every garden. From a living hell, Jamestown is America's first boomtown.
And we'll finally have more workers coming, more labor arriving. So growing tobacco is very labor intensive, takes a lot of hard work, and so more colonists are needed to do that work, so we're going to have more people that are arriving. And we're going to have a group called the indentured servants who are going to arrive. And so these are people from England who are poor, and they agreed to work for a number of years, usually around 7 years or more, to pay off their passage to the New World. And kind of the way it would work is you'd have people that would pay for somebody to go, and for each person that I send over as an indentured servant, I would get 50 acres of land. So if I send 10 people, 50 times 10 is I get 500 acres of land. So this is also a way that people can make a profit off of this. And we're also going to have the introduction of slavery into the New World here. So eventually more labor is needed, and so to keep up with that demand, we're going to have Africans brought to Jamestown in 1619, and the institution of slavery is going to begin in the 13 colonies. Eventually, in the colony of Virginia, we're going to have the House of Burgesses that's created. So this was established in 1619, so colonists can make their very own laws. So not English laws, but their own laws there in Virginia. And this is the very first representative government in America, where we're going to have people elected to represent the group, an area of the colony, and then those people make the laws and taxes for everybody else. What about women? So when women arrive in Jamestown, in 1620, about 90 women arrive from England. And of course, when you have men and women, you're going to have families and children. And so that's going to allow Jamestown to become more of a permanent colony, and it's going to grow in numbers over time.